and welcome back to A Life of Enchantment. And today I'm going to talk to you about beginning to sense the energy of a place, a room, a building, because it's just so much fun, and again it grows your spiritual muscles, if you like. So in my previous video I talked about sensing the energy of an object. And I have before talked about sensing your own energy, and it's so important to do that, like I said before, because the more you know your energy, you know what's yours and what's everything what anybody else's. So when you walk into a place, we all naturally get a feel, get a vibe, get a sense of what's the general energy of the atmosphere in a room, a building, a place. If you walk into a very crowded room, usually you're picking up the energy of the people, and we've all had that where we thought, oh god, this feels a bit uncomfortable. It feels like it might kick off here, or it might, something's not quite right. Or you've walked into a place and it feels really like, everybody's like quite uplifted and they're happy and they're joyful, and you can really sense that and feel that. So remember, energy is neutral until something's put into it, and whether that's a positive or a negative, or it's very contagious. So we're very sensitive to the energy of a place. Now, when we go into, like, say, an old building, or somewhere kind of quite historical, what's really nice to do is when you walk in is to just take a moment. So actually, before you go in, take a moment, see how you're feeling. How am I doing today? What's my energy like? I'm not saying you have to fix anything. It's good to know what you're feeling, and know that when you walk in, you're more than aware and open to what's going on around you. So if you walk into an older building and then suddenly you feel a bit, this makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. If you feel brave and want to, you can protect yourself, of course, if that's what you like to do. But what you can also do is, I'd like you to just stop for a second and just link to it. What am I actually feeling here? Because Hollywood, I think, has taught us that if we pick up anything negative in a place, in a room, is something bad coming to get us. But quite often it could be that there was sadness there, or somebody was murdered, or somebody died, or something wasn't very nice, or there was illness or hardship. And it's not that it's something necessarily out to get you. That's quite rare. I'm not saying you should stay with it if you don't want to. If you want to leave, you must do what you're drawn to do. But, try and use it as a learning experience that, what is it I'm actually feeling here? Is this, am I being triggered? Does this remind me of something? Is it triggering something from my past? Okay, maybe not. Or if it is, then you know what you need to deal with. And if it's not, okay, you can then look into what else is it. Once you start working spiritually, you'll know what questions to ask. So you'll know, was there something, did something go wrong here? Was somebody hurt here? You'll know, and then you'll get kind of feedback once you start to learn how you connect with spirit, yourself, places, things. A lot of mine is very sensing and knowing. I do often see pictures in my mind's eye, and I've had some amazing experiences actually, which I will talk about again. And what you can also do, and what I sometimes get clients to do in my treatment room, is when they're practicing, is I get them to go around the room in each sort of corner and just say, what does that feel like? Do any colours come to mind? Do any pictures come to mind? Scent, feelings, and where are you feeling it? If it's a joyful feeling and it's making, love it, where and what are you feeling? Because let's say, for example, you linked to a place and you thought, I don't know, that's uncomfortable. Okay, where am I feeling uncomfortable? So yeah, you might be feeling, because that's your emotion centre, your solar plexus. But then you might think, actually, I feel a bit uncomfortable here, or why? What happened to somebody there? There's all sorts of things that you can start to learn to read. But on a nice note, you can go around with like, what does the energy of each corner feel like? In my salon, in my treatment room, it's very, okay, so just a little bit of movement over there. In my treatment room, it's very calm, very angelic, very supportive, very loving, like a hug. And sometimes the different corners of the room can have a different energy depending on what's going on or what work I've been doing or who I've been linking with. So you can practice that. You can also practice, like we talked about when you do focus on an object. So you've got your energy, you've got a sense of yourself, and it's a bit like you can almost push it out as if it's a bubble to connect with that corner. Like I said before, I don't need to do that because as soon as I focus on something, I can focus long enough and I can connect to it, particularly if it's a natural object or a being. So that's a wonderful thing to do. Remember to read yourself. What am I feeling now? I wasn't feeling this a few minutes ago before I walked in here. What's the difference in me? Where in me? What's this evoking in me? And then you can disconnect if you want to, move on to another area, another place. When you walk into a crowded place, or even just with a few people, don't be rude and intrusive. And often the more you focus on something, you can connect deeper. But don't stare at people because that's just rude. But I can focus on somebody and be looking away. I can focus and tell you about this plant and not have to focus on it. And that just comes with practice. But I do like to be respectful of other people's privacy because, well, I work from love and light, and I just think that's part of it. So, I had a wonderful and odd and experience in Glastonbury a few years ago with a friend of mine. And I will tell you again about the other experiences, but I'm just going to tell you about this one because it's fascinating. And it's a good example of holding your space and not being triggered by what we have been led to believe is negative. So a friend of mine and I went to Glastonbury. She's a little bit older than me, and we thought, let's go. So we went for just one night, I think it was, drove down, and we stayed in this amazing, quirky, witchy place where there was a fair room which I was supposed to have, but she was going to have the King Arthur, but once she saw that, she was like, I can't stay in there. So she went up to the fair room. I had the King Arthur, I think it's King Arthur room, which, if I say King Arthur, you can imagine how it was decorated, fabulous. And through the night, I just kept seeing these little faces kept popping up, and I was like, okay. And I knew they meant me no harm. They were quite sweet, but it was quite overwhelming. I was like, no, I'm safe for myself. There's no one here. There's nothing. But it was. I didn't sleep much because it was curious. They just kept popping up like this all over, these little faces. And so the next morning when I went down for breakfast, my friend was already there, and she's like, I'm not going back up, and she was just literally, she said, I don't care, I'm not going to wash my teeth after I've eaten, she said, I've done them before, I'm not going back up there. And the lady who was serving us said, how did you sleep? And I said, a bit disturbed. I said I had lots of these little faces coming up to constantly popping up, looking at me, and she just froze. I said, what's the matter? And she said, well, this used to be a children's home, and the warden, or whatever they're called, that used to look after them, used to abuse the children. And what they had done is whoever these people were, had bound his soul in the cellar. And I was like, so each to their own. I don't agree with bounding any soul. I feel like, let them, be free, and they can, they will deal with them up there, which I can tell you again about if you want to know. I've had lots of these sorts of experiences. But I think the lesson for me was a big lesson in Glastonbury, because it was like for some reason, there was a line for me between, not a physical like in a place, but I was shown this line between black and white, because I just kept thinking everybody's lovely, and you could call it black and white, good or bad, positive, negative, however you want to word that, that I was just made aware that not everybody is coming from a place of love and light. And I should know that because of my past experiences, but even in the spiritual community, I think I needed to be aware that there are some practices and things that just don't sit with me, and that's fine. It's, you know, each to their own. I don't judge, but yeah. So that seeing these little beings was quite an experience, because it was, you know, I was on my own. It was dark, and we'd arrived. Actually, I think we had 2 nights there. We stayed another night in another place. But yes, I didn't have a sense of direction of my bearings. If you not, I had a great sense of direction bearings, to be honest. In normal life, yeah. So it's just, I think the lesson is to. I'm glad I stuck with it. I didn't let the fear overtake of like, this is unusual, even though I'm cool with weird. It's just because there were so many, and I managed to just hold my space. I knew they were okay, but I knew there was something that wasn't very nice. And for me, I think that was the intention of bounding in the cellar. And although they did it with good intention, the energy of that, of keeping that such a dark mass of wrongness and badness in a place, doesn't sit right with me. That's all. So, I hope I haven't rambled too much. I also want to tell you about this wonderful place in Dinefwr Park that I used to walk a lot in. And again, so this is about sensing the energy of a outside space. So Dinefwr Park is in Llandeilo, and it's beautiful. So if ever you come to Wales, you must go there. It's history there. You can feel it as you walk through it. And until I found my other magical place, which is a bit closer to me, I used to walk there so frequently, and I just, like, I'd wander through, getting lost in the woods, and the bluebells are amazing. But I remember specifically, there's lots of things, which I'll tell you experiences again in another video if anybody wants to hear them. But there was this one particular day where it was obviously after school, some kind of holiday, so there'd been it gets very, very busy in the height of summer, and probably Easter, and I think it was after an Easter holiday because it was getting warmer, and I remember walking, everybody had obviously gone away, and there was just the one odd person, you know, you can't even see, it's like hello away in the distance, and I remember walking through, I could just sense I could sense these people, I could sense the energy of lots of different, and it just didn't feel like my special place for a while, about sort of maybe 3 days until it had kind of cleared. It was probably just the volume of people that had come, the different energies that were there. So that was like, I was like, oh, this is like, you know, you could really sense people. And another time I was walking in a place, part of it, that's not even particularly, you know, you wouldn't sort of go, well, look at this particular part here. I was just walking through, and for a moment, it was as if time had merged, kind of almost like overlapsed, where I could feel and see what it was like hundreds of years ago, when there was like horse and carriage, and, you know, how women would have been walking through in the dresses, and I could see like the horses and the deer, and it was incredible. And I've had just a couple of other, it almost feels slightly out of body experiences like that before, where it just feels like time has just, I don't know, kind of overlapped almost. It's really bizarre. If anyone's got any explanations for that, please let me know. Because it's vivid. It's like, and I'm not dreaming, I'm walking with my dogs, you know. Fascinating, really, really fascinating. And this is where it's so nice when you really sense yourself, your energy, your auric field, and the energy of a place. And also it means that you can control the energy of your personal space, your home, your car, because you can get a sense of, ooh, I don't know about that, this needs a clean, this needs a freshen up, this needs an air. And you can go to which area needs it. You know, is it because somebody was sat on my sofa and they were miserable? Is it because the floor has had a few too many people walk and it needs a wash with a magical blend, which I will do for you. You know, does it just need windows opening and, you know, the air blowing through? You know what I'm like about the wind, love it. So you can really start to read the energy of anything, place, area, and it's wonderful. So I hope this has been helpful. Please let me know your experiences. I'll talk more about other experiences and we'll maybe take you to some truly magical places that just make my soul sing. But please don't be frightened. Remember, is this my stuff, their stuff? Am I being triggered? Is it really frightening? Or is it just something has happened here that isn't very nice? So I hope this has been helpful. Until next time, all my love, Ella. Bye.